was able to see? Maybe I repeat. Yeah, I repeat this part. Okay. So regulation of respiration, we have chemical regulation and non-chemical regulation. Chemical regulation with central chemoreceptors and peripheral chemoreceptors. Central chemoreceptors and peripheral chemoreceptors. Non-chemical regulation, we have three things. We have stretch receptors, we have cuff receptors, or they call them irritant receptors. Irritant, cuff or irritant receptors, and we have J receptors. J means juxtapulmonary. Juxtapulmonary. So the central chemoreceptors, they are located near the respiratory center. Central chemoreceptors located near respiratory center. Central C, they are more sensitive to CO2. Sensitive to CO2. Central CO2. Peripheral P, they are more sensitive to PaO2. So this one is easy to remember. Central CO2, peripheral PaO2. Non-chemical regulation, we have stretch receptors to prevent over-distension. To prevent over-distension. We have receptors. These receptors are located on the airway smooth muscles. Airway smooth muscles. Prevent over-distension. Prevent over-distension. There is a name for this reflex. When we inflate, then the receptors will be stimulated and prevent over-distension. This reflex is called hearing breathing reflex. Hearing breathing reflex. Cuff receptors or irritant receptors, they are located between epithelial cells, airway epithelial cells, airway epithelial cells, epithelial cells, mainly in carina and larynx, carina and larynx. They are stimulated by smoking. That's why, especially those who don't smoke, if you take smoke, once you put it in your mouth, you'll cough. Yeah, because of the irritant receptors. Yeah. Ammonia also can cause stimulation and can cause cough. J receptors or juxtapulmonary receptors, they are found on the alveolar wall. Alveolar wall. And they induce tachypnea. They induce tachypnea. They are stimulated by edema. When we have edema, when we have pulmonary edema, or when we have pulmonary congestion, or we have pulmonary embolus, so they are stimulated. Why they induce tachypnea? Because they want to compensate. Any one of them, edema or congestion or embolus, will affect the gas exchange. And this is rahmatullah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah help us try to compensate. So patient go to tachypnea to try to use as much oxygen as can to compensate for gas exchange. So this is the regulation of respiration. Now I will go to the respiration, inspiration and expiration. The fifth outline, you have the outlines. So already we finished the oxygen cascade. We finish the risks of high oxygen. We finish the respiratory system and regulation of inspiration. Let's go to inspiration and expiration. Inspiration and expiration. Now, if I ask all of you know the answer, when we auscultate the patient, so the MOs, when you auscultate the patients, you are clerking the patient and you auscultate. Which one you hear longer, inspiration or expiration? All of you know the answer. Which one you hear longer? When you put your stethoscope on the chest. Is Safwan here?
Inspiration.
Inspiration.
Inspiration, yes. Absolutely. You hear, so does that mean inspiration is longer?
Inspiration longer.
Same.
Same. You see, in fact,
Inspiration longer.
Yes, Shafinaz?
Longer expiration time.
Yes, longer expiration. In fact, expiration is longer. If we look at the curve, this is the normal breathing. This is inspiration. This is inspiration. And followed by longer expiration. And followed by pause. And it goes like this. So always inspiration shorter, expiration longer, followed by pause. But why? Why, Shafinaz, when we auscultate, we hear inspiration is longer?
Because, right? Because initially it was like voluntary kan. So anything voluntary takes longer time. Not too sure.
Okay, you see, inspiration is active process. Inspiration is active. So when we inspire, we will come to the mechanism after that. We bring the air in. We bring the air. There is extension, expansion of the diameter of the thorax, and we bring the, so we hear all inspiration. All inspiration is here. All. Because it's active. While expiration is passive process. It is elastic recoil. So passive, you cannot hear it all. You will hear only third of expiration. Yeah, only the first part of expiration you will be heard by the stethoscope. Otherwise, the other part you will not be able to hear because it is passive. It is not active. So that's why
not much turbulent flow created during passive recall. Not much turbulent flow created for us to hear the sound.
Yes. Yeah, this is the thing. Yeah, this is the thing. No much turbulence. Yes. So that's why if prolonged expiration, what will we think in the problem? All of you know. If you hear prolonged expiration, you will think there is obstructed problem. And then, like Dr. Sayyid Khalid said, there will be turbulence and the expiration will be prolonged. So that is the normal pattern. If we have tachypnea, so this is in the normal. If we have tachypnea, it will change. Here, they will become the same. Inspiration, expiration, and no pause. Inspiration, expiration. It will go like this when there is tachypnea. Inspiration, expiration, yeah, and it will go like this. Now let's go to the mechanism. I think before we go to the mechanism, let's talk about mechanics, pulmonary mechanics, because it will be more easy. Yeah, it be more easy when you understand the pulmonary mechanics. Yeah, and after that the mechanism will be more clear. So let's go to the pulmonary mechanics first. So pulmonary mechanics. Number one, compliance and elastance. So compliance and elastance, they are opposite each other. Compliance is distensibility. Compliance is distensibility. Distensibility. So ability to distend. Elastance is elasticity or ability to recoil. Elasticity. So this one leads to distension. Distensibility leads to distension. And this one leads to recoil. So both lung and chest wall have compliance and elastance. Both lung and chest wall have compliance and elastance. So when the organ is compliant, does not mean that it is always elastic. Some organs are compliant, able to distend, but they don't have the elasticity. The lung is compliant and elastic. Chest wall also is compliant and elastic at the same time. But some organs are compliant and not elastic. For example, the heart. The heart is compliant, can distend. That's why those who have heart failure, they have cardiomegaly. But the heart is not elastic. Stomach. Now, if you eat too much, what will happen to the stomach? The stomach will distend. The stomach is compliant, but it is not elastic. Urinary bladder. Urinary bladder. It is compliant. So if you hold your urine, if you don't make it urinate, the bladder will distend and distend and distend, but it is not elastic. Otherwise, if the urinary bladder is elastic, you know what will happen. You will urinate in yourself. This will not happen because urinary bladder is not elastic. It is only compliant. So I give you example. So the compliance in the lung and elastance in the lung. Imagine lung is like balloon. Balloon. While the chest wall is like spring. So you see now, I have a balloon. This is balloon. If I inflate the balloon, so this is compliance. It is compliance. The balloon can be inflated. When I stop inflation, this is elastance. This is elastance. If I come to the chest wall, it is different. Chest wall is like spring. So it has compliance and elastance. This is the spring. Yeah, it is small. Unfortunately, I don't have big spring. Yeah, I try to bring it close to the camera. Yeah. This is the spring, if you can see. Yeah, this is spring. So again, also it has compliance and elastance. Compliance, able to see, I can make it bigger. Distensibility is compliance or enlargement. See, it becomes bigger. The spring now, yeah. But also it has elastance. It has elastance. Now we need to know to understand how compliance and elastance work. If I come to the lung here, compliance and elastance, they work in opposite direction. They work in opposite direction. They work in opposite direction. Opposite direction. Compliance, distant. Again, if you look at the balloon, compliance. Compliance, distant. Elastance, recoil. So that is for the balloon. For the chest wall, they work on the same side. The compliance and elastance. For the chest wall, compliance and elastance work on the same side. Same side. I give you example. Now, when you slaughter the animal in Hari Raya Haji, when you slaughter the animal and you open the chest and you take the lung out, what will happen to the lung? The lung will shrink. The lung will shrink by the elastance. So the lung is compliant. If you inflate it, even when it is outside, if you are able to inflate it, it will inflate. It is compliant. But it will shrink down because the elastance work on side. But what will happen to the chest wall when you slaughter the animal and take the lung out? Do you think the chest wall will compress inside or will expand? So the chest wall will expand. So the elasticity of the chest wall works outside. So if we open our chest, we will have the chest wall of us will expand and the lung will shrink. And that's why they are working in equilibrium. That's why negative pressure is created. We will explain a little more. Because the lung is pulling inside and chest wall is pulling outside. Everyone pull in opposite direction. So the negative intrapleural pressure is created. So compliance equal delta volume over delta pressure. A change of volume over change of pressure. Delta volume is the tidal volume. Tidal volume. Delta pressure depends whether you are measuring dynamic compliance or static compliance. Normally, static lung compliance, equal 30 to 60 ml per centimeter water. This is the static lung compliance. So tidal volume is always the same. Delta B, if static lung compliance, it will be plateau pressure minus B. This is for static compliance. This is for static compliance. If dynamic compliance, it will be tidal volume over B inspiratory pressure minus B. So static and dynamic. How to differentiate between static and dynamic? What is static and what is dynamic? Static, if there is no flow, the flow is finished already. So for example, I take the balloon again. So I stop now. Now I stop. So now there is compliance, but this is static compliance because no more flow. No more flow is coming. This is a static compliance. Now, if I blow again, what's happening now? Tell me what's happening now. Which compliance? There is airflow, continuous. So this is dynamic compliance. Now dynamic compliance. Elastance. So again, when the airflow, it is dynamic compliance. Once I stop the flow, it is a static compliance. So compliance is affected by many factors. Compliance affected by many factors. Factors affecting static compliance. Static compliance. Factors affecting static compliance. Factors include, number one, elasticity or elastance. Number two, surface tension. So elastance is opposite of compliance. When I have more elastance, I have less compliance. And that's why in old age people have more compliant lung. Why? Why old age people have more compliant lung? Anyone can answer me? I give you the answer now. I give you, you tell me the answer. I have two balloons now.
Because
You see?
the
Which one is young, which one is old?
the big one is old.
The big one is old. Yes. The big one is old. Yeah. Because already, you know the explanation. Yes, still
already. Everything sagging already.
Yes, already working long time, inflation, deflation has been inflated many times. So there will be destruction of the elastic tissue. It will be wrinkled. So the compliance will be more. So now if I inflate both of them, more difficult to inflate. This one is more easy.
Easy, sir.
More easy to inflate. So the compliance is more in the old age with less elastance. And this is the thing which happened in MPC. Yes, Shabinas?
What was the question again?
No, I thought you said something.
Oh, no. No, I didn't say anything.
Okay, so it is clear now. So older age, older balloon. So imagine the balloon. Older balloon has been inflated many times, so more compliance, more easy to distill, but less elastance. Less elastance. Another thing affect the compliance is the surface tension. Surface tension is collapsing force. Collapsing force. Collapsing force. So surface tension is collapsing force. It is because of air-water interface. Air-water interface. So this is the alveolus. We have water molecules here. We have many water molecules. These water molecules with the air up here will induce surface tension. There is risk of collapse. So that's why if we can take away this air-water interface, the compliance will improve. Imagine if you take the lung, and you fill it with water, it will distend more. Yeah, see, this is one balloon. I tried it yesterday, and you can try at home. This is full of water. You can go do this experiment at your home. You take your balloon, connect to the tap, connect it to the tap, and turn on the tap. You'll see it will distend very fast. The compliance is more. And this is what happened with this balloon. You can see also, see it is very compliant. So because all is water. Same thing of the lung. If we fill the lung with water, it will distend very easily. Because there will be elimination of the surface tension. And in pediatric, we have...
Ismail, 10 more minutes.
10 more
10
minutes.
more
Okay.
minutes.
In pediatrics, we have RDS. You have RDS and ARDS, which cause increase in surface tension, and that will lead to decreased compliance. So one of that maybe of the MCQ questions, or like those who are sitting for Royal College exams or master exams, they ask you, is the compliance more during expiration or during inspiration? Who will guess the answer? We have compliance more during expiration or during inspiration? What do you think? I am sure most of you think that compliance is more during inspiration. No, it is not. Compliance is more during expiration. Because compliance, by definition, it is that distensibility, ability to distend. During expiration, what will happen? The volume will be less. So when the volume be less, what will happen to the concentration of surfactant? The surfactant will be more concentrated. When the volume is less, surfactant will be more concentrated. More concentrated surfactant works against surface tension. So these are the factors affecting static compliance. If I come to the factors affecting dynamic compliance, when there is flow, dynamic compliance. So the same factors, elastance still will affect, surface tension also still will affect, but the other factor will be, what is the other factor which affects dynamic? Okay, I show you again the dynamic compliance. Okay, this is dynamic compliance. So what is the other factor which can affect this dynamic compliance? Yes.
Pressure? Is it the pressure?
Pressure. Something in the airways can make it less. Something in the airway against distension. Airway. Airway resistance. Airway resistance. Airway resistance. Airway resistance. So these are the factors which affect the dynamic compliance. Okay. Second one is in dynamic is surface tension. Surface tension. Surface tension. So surface tension, like we mentioned now, it is collapsing force. The most important point for surface tension is you know that it has inverse relation to the radius. radius, diameter. When I have less diameter, what will I have? I have more surface tension. If I have more diameter, I have less surface tension. So this is regarding the surface tension. Then resistance, airway resistance. And the resistance, the most important is to know Boyle's law. P-O-I-S-T-U-L-L-E. Boyle's law. So resistance according to Boyle's law equal A eta, this is eta, 8 eta L over by R to the power 4. By R to the power 4. So this eta is viscosity and L is the length. By is 3.14. By, if you go with your memory back to the maths, it is the ratio. The ratio between the circumference and the diameter. Ratio between circumference and the diameter. This is by. It is fixed 3.14. And R is radius. And radius is the most important. This is the most important. The most important. If radius reduces by half reduction in radius, half reduction of radius, increase resistance 16 volts. 16 volts. Increase in the resistance.
Ismail, 3 more minutes. 3 more minutes only.
3 more minutes. Okay.
3
okay.
more minutes. Sorry.
After that, do you want to continue another class or how? Or we keep another time? Up to you.
I think better we stop at 3 minutes and then we continue another time, probably Monday. Or
Another
something.
time. Okay. We can select another time and continue. Okay. So last one is time constant. Time constant is very important. When we come to the ventilator strategy later, time constant is very important. Time constant. Time constant. So time constant, it is the time needed to equalize pressure between proximal and distal airways. It is the time needed to equalize pressure between proximal and distal airways. Distal airways. Time needed to equalize pressure. Now, if I have low compliance, so for example, let's say this balloon has low compliance, cannot inflate anymore. So, do you think the time constant is low or high? When we have low compliance, time constant is low. Time constant is low. Low compliance means low time constant. Low time constant. And this is very important in ventilator strategy. If I have high resistance, I will have high time constant. High time constant. Why? Because when I have resistance, I
We have
will tell you.
We have less than a minute.
Less than a minute. Okay. Any question? We'll stop after time. Anyone has any question? If the time is not enough now, you can send me questions by WhatsApp. You can send the questions to the group. Yeah, you can send the questions to the group. If any point I mentioned it not clear, send the questions to the group. And thank you very much.
Okay. So I think we will adjourn our session today, and probably we'll arrange something more probably on Monday or something. And I think we'll try and use Microsoft Teams. Hopefully it'll be a bit longer than this one. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ismail.
Okay. Thanks. Very interesting.
Selamat hari.
Thank you.